It's such a good point, though. I don't think anybody ever talks about when they were like creating the sport and pioneering these like legendary women fights and women coming up in the UFC. There wasn't a lot of complete fighters. So like you talked about this too, when you were coming up in the game, there wasn't a guy you could go to that knew jiu-jitsu and had really good kickboxing, and then you could kind of get a complete look. So it's so crazy to even think about that. I never even put two and two together to find someone who has really good striking and judo.
I mean, we're at least a decade, if not more, behind men's MMA when women started doing this. You know, so from the evolution of that standpoint, you know, when these elite women start having kids that have elite, you know, females like daughters that are doing this sport since at a young age, it's like that's normal for men. They've been doing that forever. Wrestling's always been a man's sport. Kickboxing has always been a man's sport, but it's like just recently women have started doing this. So I mean, I even think the evolution over time will produce better females. So I don't think it's you know, women can produce the power, like they can knock each other out for sure, but it just takes time, I think, to develop that skill set. Most of the women in my generation were not starting that stuff until they were, I mean, some of these women didn't even start fighting until they were in their 20s, like not even a day, nothing, zero background. Like Juliana Pena, she walked into the gym because she wanted to lose weight.
That's crazy.
You know, in her 20s, I think she
crazy.
was like right around 20. Never had a day of martial arts training in her life, you know, and now
like a fitness routine turns into an MMA career.
Yeah, so I mean, this is how a lot of us kind of, you know, found our way into the sport. But this is the next wave. You know, you see a lot more women K-ing each other and knocking each other out. And then you got to remember this too. There's only 3 weight classes, so oftentimes on a full men's card, how many knockouts would you say on an all men's card you would, you know, typically expect? There's like 12 fights, right? 13 fights. Like how many of those usually end up in a knockout?
You get like at least what 4, 5, right?
Maybe like 2, 3.
I would say like on average, yeah, like 2, 3.
3.
Like you pretty much guarantee like 2, 3. You might get 4. There might be, if it's a good night. I think it's a good night if you get 4 good knockouts, like
That's
out of a 12
night.
fight card. That's a good. That's a good fight.
Yeah.
Most of them still end in a decision, and you might get some subs in there, but most do. But it's like all of women's MMA, in theory, is kind of based off of that one fight we get on that card, because there's so few women. So these men kind of get a lot of more opportunity to go out there, knock each other out. That's the fights you remember, but they had 12 times to do that, and there's like one women's fight. So it's like if you fill an entire fight card with women, you probably get about the same amount of knockouts. To be honest, you get 2 or 3.
Yeah.